we'll be honoring our first inductees, Fred Heddenberg and Thomas Borner. For those of you who may not know me, I'm John Miller, and I'm proud to be the president and treasurer of the Aspinock Historical Society. A question that some of you may be asking, what is a Putnam History Maker? What is it all about? Well, first I have to give credit to Mike Bodansky. Mike came up with the original idea, and I also have to thank Willie, Marcy, Barney, the entire Aspinock Historical Society board, and to the Putnam History Makers Committee. Emily Barnes, Mike Bodansky, Marcy Dowley, James Frost, Mayor Barney, and Willie Busquette for all of the iterations we've gone through during the months. Tonight is their final product. Putnam History Makers is a true collaboration between the Aspinock Historical Society and the Town of Putnam Recreation Department. This committee that I mentioned is an official committee of the Aspinock Historical Society, which means all of the committee members must be Aspinock Society members. The committee's mission is to search for, select, and honor individuals annually with a personal plaque and a plaque that will be placed on the wall outside of the Aspinock Museum and Research Center located on the second floor of the municipal complex. And those plaques, which we'll be receiving tonight, the replicas are already on that wall. Put it on the wall outside the museum because anyone that can go can view those plaques anytime the municipal complex is open. Our goal is to annually have 2 honorees, one past and one present, to be selected by the committee, who will be recognized significantly that significantly impacted the Putnam community in a positive and lasting way. A Putnam History Maker honoree may be a resident, a non-resident of Putnam, living or deceased, that has made or is still making positive impacts through their works, deeds, and service to Putnam or to our global community. A history maker accomplishments may be performed in the spotlight or done quietly behind the scenes. I wish to thank all of the Aspinock Historical Society volunteers, and in particular, our board of directors. In no particular order, this is our board and the people that really make things happen for the Historical Society. Fab Cutler, who works on helping with the archives and publications. Jerry Pearsall, who is the curator of the Aspinock Museum. Kathy Zamagni, who is secretary and part of the nominating committee, chairs actually the nominating committee, and the annual appeal. One quick story, several years ago when Kathy called me and asked me if I would be interested in being president, she said, "We need some young people." I said, "Kathy, I'm 64. She said, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about." Sandra Ames, who is here tonight. Sandra is part of our research and publications, and she has a lot of great stories. Our membership chair is Joy Lezot, and Joyce was also a longtime treasurer of the organization. We have Jeannie Benoit, who's vice president and part of the annual appeals and chairs our program department. Bill Pearsall, not just the past president, but he chairs our Katie Cottage. And I'm going to say this, tonight, very generous donation was received from Katie Cobb, from Paul Kelly. Paul, thank you very much for your Pat Edinburgh, chair of our Boxcar Museum, and her right-hand person is Barbara Scalise, and Barbara has the tough job of scheduling the docents for the Boxcar. Mike Podansky, chair of our publicity and social media department. Ken Evans. Ken Evans puts together our newsletter. And if Ken Evans was here, I would ask him, what's up with the Shopper's Guide? We have some insight on that. Paul Dizitel. Paul is on our board, but he also has a very distinct role. He is the historical preservation photographer, and he's taking some great photographs tonight. Paul, good job. Nicole Nichols on our board and also part of the program committee, and Elaine Turner. If you know Elaine Turner, Elaine does everything that's artsy. We call upon Elaine. Please give all these people, volunteers, a round of applause. So now, if you can, please stand. I'm going to call upon Paul Dizitel to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Paul?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce Julie and Bill Reed to perform a salute to our honorees with their very own rendition of It's All Right.
I'm glad to be here. We got the call, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and it's like, Willie said, we want a celebratory song. And I said, okay, I'll look them up. And I looked and I looked and I looked. And all I could find was like wedding songs.
I came up with this one.
Did you let me finish, anybody? And so she said, well, you know, a lot of you guys probably remember Bill Parkett, right? Yeah. Willie and Julie and I played music together. I got him into acoustic music, so we started doing stuff together. And one of the last times we saw him up at our house, she came, I got to play this song. And it was this song, and so we started doing it. And then I kind of forgot about it over the years, and Julie said, let's do that one. And I kind of messed around with the lyrics a little bit. Hopefully Curtis Mayfield's children aren't around to say, hey, I want some money for that. It goes like this. And it's a call and a response. If anybody knows what that is. This is like me. I'm going to say something and you're all going to repeat it and we're going to have fun. And if you have to get up and move your feet, that's okay, because I don't think anybody's going to care. It's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right to have a good time. Oh, it's all right. You gotta move your feet.
You gotta move your feet.
You're gonna feel the beat.
You gotta feel the beat.
Let Tom and Fred know we thank them so, cause it's all right. Now, your turn.
It's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's all right alright to have a good time. Oh, it's alright. Okay, go like this. When you wake up in the morning, you feel low like so many of us do. But the Lord in your soul, helping folks is your goal. Some good's gonna come back to you. Hey! It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright to have a good time. Oh, it's alright. Try that again, real quiet. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. Don't keep it. There you go. It's alright. It's alright to have a good time. Oh, it's alright. Come on, people. This is supposed to be safe. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright to have a good time. Oh, it's alright. Alright. For years, Tom and Fred, they treated us all so nice. So let's congratulate, let's celebrate, morning, noon, and night. Hey! It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright to have a good time. Oh, it's alright. Alright. Congratulations, Tom. Congratulations, Fred. Thank you.
So now, a little audience participation. I'm going to call upon Emily and Dick Loomis. They're going to help give away gifts. Because I don't want to pack them up at the end of the night. So I want them all. So first we have the key to the city. Right? So everybody needs one. And pal, if you want, come on up here and help me. Here you go.
I'm washing those off. $2.
We're even better than that, we're giving them away. Now this says, the key, where did these come from? I don't know. The key to good fortune, among our richest, choicest gains, which we guard close with lock and chains, is the fine goodwill and friendship true and loyalty of folks like you. And it is a key to the city of Putnam, town of Putnam. It is a thermometer.
Celsius?
And next we have the sesquicentennial, celebrating 150 years of achievement, Putnam, Connecticut. We have these mugs, and we just don't have the mugs that are on the table. We have cases of mugs. So please take one or as many as you want.
It's not a diner.
Stocking stuffers. That's what I'm thinking. We have a booklet about the history of Katie Copp Homestead, Katie Copp Cottage. That near and dear to Fred's heart and a lot of others. So this is something really neat. And this is, you better get up there and take these. Putnam, 2005 Idols, 150th anniversary celebration, the CD. Do you remember that?
I need one of
Remember
those.
who the winner was?
No.
I think the winner, am I right?
Was it Chris?
Joanne Dumas, am I right? Was here. She's at the back. So please, on your way out, stop, take as many as you want to. It is our gift to all of you. But most importantly, Emily and Dick, we're always looking for volunteers. volunteers for the museum, and we have application, an interest sheet that you could take and bring back, and also for the boxcar, the docents for the boxcar.
Please take several.
Take several, but volunteer, and you don't need, you're trained. Don't worry about, well, I don't really know. We will train you. We have some great people that will do that. And also on the table, don't forget your own program for tonight. And Marcy has more somewhere, but there's a bunch on the table there. So please be sure to take that. And also, if the spirit moves you, we have some donation cards that you can take, and we talk about more of that at the end of the program. But thank you very much. And,
There's only 2 of these left.
oh, yeah. So that is a recipe book, and that has a section of hors d'oeuvres. It has a section of desserts, of course, entrees, and then beverages, alcoholic beverages. That section's about 3/4 of that recipe book. So please, there's only a couple left, and all local, yes, recipes from all local people. And Dick Loomis has a recipe in there too, so we appreciate that. All right, let's give it up. Dick Loomis, Emily Barnes, thank you so much. Our next speaker is our past president of the Historical Society and current town historian. Please welcome Mr. Bill Pearsall.
Be here tonight as municipal historian and member of the Aspinock Historical Society. And it's interesting to me that one of the things that they are offering tonight is the thermometer. And that reminds me of the first time that I was a docent in the Boxcar Museum. It was during the summer, and it probably was 115 degrees inside. And not too long after that, there all of a sudden was an air conditioning unit that was part of the Boxcar Museum, and it is to this day. And I believe that one of our historian awards tonight is Mr. Tom Borner, and I think that the bank and Tom Borner had something to do with that air conditioning. And we really appreciate it. I don't know Tom as well as I know Fred, but I see Tom now as in the PBA, Putnam Business Association, where he is the leader for our meetings up there. And one thing that I appreciate about Tom is that part of that meeting is everybody goes around the room and has the opportunity to share something that's going on in their organization. And it just seems like almost every time that I get up and say something about the Aspinock Historical Society or the Katie Kopp Cottage being developed or anything, Mr. Borner shows up with a check in his hand within a couple weeks. I can't thank you enough, Tom, for your support of the history of the Aspinock Historical Society and the history of the town. So thank you, Tom. Now, our other recipient tonight, of course, was Fred Hedenberg. And I met Fred and Pat, I think it was involved in a church together. And we got to be friends with them through the church, and Terry, my wife Terry, invited them over for supper. And they came over to our house. And when Fred walked into the house, one of the first things he saw is I have a picture on my wall of Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, and Robert E. Lee. It's a Civil War picture. And Fred looked at that, and he turned around and he said to Pat, "This guy is going to be the next president of the Aspinock Historical Society." And Fred was I was very involved with Fred when he was the president, and we worked together an awful lot of times. In fact, Fred got me involved in so many things in the town, politically on the Republican Town Committee, and then when Bob Miller retired as the municipal historian, Fred was the one that put my name up before the town officers to be the next municipal historian. So the only thing that I can really say about my relationship with Fred Hedenberg is after I met him, I really don't know how I ever had time to work in my life. I am very busy with a lot of things in the town. So these two people that are the award recipients tonight, that's my take on them, and I can't thank them and the family of Fred enough for all that they do for the history and the preservation of history in this town. So thank you very much.
And I always learn something. And Bill has taught me a lot about trains and how many trains at one time at the height of 60 trains coming in and out of Putnam daily, which I think is amazing. I learned about the East Putnam vampire. And I also learned from Jeannie Benoit about how many U.S. presidents visited Putnam. How many do you think? How many U.S. presidents have visited Putnam? Shout it out. 6. 6 U.S. presidents have visited Putnam. Any guesses who those 6 presidents are?
Ulysses S. Grant.
George Washington came close to Putnam, but he's not one. Any other guesses?
Ulysses S. Grant.
Ulysses. That's correct. That's one.
John Adams.
No.
McKinley. Garfield.
Kennedy.
Not Garfield. Not Kennedy.
Roosevelt.
No cheating, no look.
All right. So Ulysses S. Grant, Benjamin Harrison, Rutherford B. Hayes, William McKinley, William Howard Taft, and when Jeannie Benoit says when the 3rd graders come, William Howard Taft, he was so big he got stuck in the bathtub. They had to cut him out of the bathtub. He was so big. And the last one was on a whistle stop. Actually came Theodore Roosevelt, stopped in Putnam in one of his famous whistle stops. So, history of Putnam is deep and rewarding and very, very interesting.
Can you go back to the vampire?
So there's actually vampires up and down the 395 corridor. And I'll just tell you what happened was, that was during the time tuberculosis, right? It was tuberculosis. And when you had tuberculosis, one of the symptoms, you bled from your mouth. And not knowing how to explain it, people explained it that they were vampires. And they actually could not be buried in a cemetery without the permission of the church that operated the cemetery. And if they did, I believe they had to have stone barriers so that they wouldn't be walking among us. But that's just a little bit about it. So our next speaker is the Adult Services Librarian for the Putnam Library, and she is responsible for free public programming and also facilitates 4 monthly book discussion groups to speak about, and what she's going to speak about is the collaboration of programming between the library and Aspinock. Please welcome Nicole Nichols.
Thank you, John. First of all, I just want to say I am proud to be a Putnam native, and I'm proud to work for the town of Putnam. It's been a joy to witness the growth of this town, and that's thanks to the dedication and the efforts of many of you in this room, and many others, and many who came before. So thank you. As a member of both the Aspinock Society and the Boxcar Museum Committee, it is my pleasure and a top priority of the library to support local historians and authors through public programming. This year, the Putnam Library hosted local authors Ed Dempsey, who published his reminiscences about his father, former Mayor and Governor John Dempsey, and U.S. Navy veteran Ryan Walker, who wrote about Medal of Honor recipient Putnam's own Henry Breaux. Other educational history programs in 2024 included presentations by Jim Len, Ovation guitar historian, David Eichelberg, Mohegan tribal specialist, Ren Antonowitz, fashion historian, and Dick Whitney, director of the Optical Heritage Museum. These are all people who live in our area and work in our area and love the history of our area. In 2025, we look forward to collaborating with the Historical Society for many, many more historical programs. So keep an eye out for these. The 688 Women of Color in World War II with Melanie Watley in February. Tories, Traitors, and Spies with the Connecticut Museum of Culture and History in May. Walk Down Memory Lane with Ren Antonowitz's Cocktail Culture Fashion program in September. And we will have author book talks. We will have a talk and book sale by retired state archaeologist Nick Bellantoni, who recently published a guide to hiking the ruins of southern New England in May. And in October, historian and author Dick Ross will do a book presentation on his book, Before Salem, Witch Hunting in the Connecticut River Valley. So those are only the things that I've already got scheduled. I'm sure that there will be more, and I invite any of you who know someone who has written a book on local history, who talks about local history issues, reach out to the library, reach out to me, and I will get in touch with them, because we want to bring as many people into the library and with the Historical Society joining us to just share all the information that's out there about our history and support the people who want to keep that going. In closing, I just want to say the Putnam Library and Aspinock Historical Society are definitely going to collaborate to provide a variety of interesting and free to the public programs, when we hope that you'll support our efforts by attending these programs and helping to spread the word. Program information will be posted publicly and shared on our shared social media accounts. Thank you to everyone here tonight for your interest in and your support of Putnam's history.
Thank you, Nicole. So now we get to the part of the program that we've been waiting for, the presentation to our honorees. The first is our past honoree, Frederick C. Hedenberg. Fred was involved in many organizations, mentioning just a few: the Hospice of Northeast Connecticut, the American Red Cross, the Northeast District Department of Health, and the Cub Scouts. Fred served as a Putnam selectman and president of the Aspinock Historical Society, where Fred made plans to renovate Katie Cobb Cottage and establish the Gertrude Chandler Warner Boxcar Museum. And with the generosity of the Spiral Foundation, next spring, we plan to open the Fred Hedenberg Boxcar Pavilion. Thank you. Spiral Foundation. Now, I have some numbers, and we need the Boxcar Pavilion because we need the space to educate our visitors. Only so many people can fit in the boxcar at once. So this is going to be adjacent to the boxcar, and I have some statistics. Since 2004, we have had 10,871 visitors at the boxcar. You say, well, that's over 10 years. Not really, because the boxcar was closed in 2019, 2020, and 2021 because of renovations in the pandemic. So that's really over 7 years, almost 11,000 visitors. Not just from Connecticut. The visitors have come from 48 of the 50 states. Only New Mexico and South Dakota residents have not visited the boxcar. And it's not just the United States, it's globally. We've had visitors from 37 countries and territory. Now, these people come, many, just to see the boxcar. They come to Putnam to see the boxcar. That started with the vision of Fred. And it's my pleasure to call upon Pat Hedenberg to accept Fred's plaque and to say a few words. I won't read the entire plaque, but I'm going to read. Fred's close and loving family includes his wife Patricia, children Matthew and his wife Lisa, Bethany and her husband Jeffrey, Richard, David, and grandchildren Kyle, Nathan, Ryan, Danny, and Amber. Congratulations.
I feel like it's the Emmys. Luckily, I know most of you here, so as someone said to me recently, public speaking, many people would prefer to die first than to have to do this, but it's easier when you're with friends and people you know. So what I wanted to do, I thought instead, you all kind of know the public Fred, the one that was on the radio, the one that was in politics and all that, but I thought maybe you'd like to know a little bit more about the personal Fred that I and his family knew. And I read a quote recently by Emile Zola, and it went, "We are like books. Most people see only our cover. The minority read only the introduction. Many people believe the critics. Few know our content." And so I thought, if I could just tell you a little bit about Fred's content, it would help you to know him better. He was a self-taught artist. He had an art gallery in Narragansett, and he took part in many, many art festivals and art shows when we first moved to Putnam. And we opened a framing in an art gallery in East Killingly called the Latch String. And that was way before crafts really were around. It was a lot of fun. We met a lot of great people. And I brought one of his paintings here tonight just because most people never knew he painted. And I was telling Kathy a story tonight that we had friends that had a little craft shop, and one of the sales reps came in and wanted, Fred did miniatures, little 3x3 miniatures. And so they said, hey, could you do some? I can sell them for you. And he said, sure. Thinking, oh, 15, 20, I can knock that out. Guy came back the next week and said, I'd like 1,000 in 2 weeks. That didn't work. That was kind of the end of that. But many of his friends had those little miniatures. Another thing, he loved the game of tennis. He liked golf, but he really, really loved tennis. When we first moved here, he was always asking Jerry Beausoleil, could you leave the lights on longer? You know, could you upgrade the courts? We're really lacking here. So, and then he also coached his daughter's softball league. And then the whole group, he'd take them for ice cream at the end to the marketplace. And it didn't matter if they won or lost. He wanted to help the kids realize that good sportsmanship was what was important. And I really think it was the ice cream that helped. He was a member, as John mentioned, Connecticut Trails Council of Boy Scouts. He enjoyed taking his son and all the other local kids camping and canoeing. And during one scouting event at Roseland Park, we had a family day. And Fred and another dad there, they did this egg toss, and everyone would take a step back and throw it and throw it. The kids were teams against. Anyway, they couldn't understand how Fred and this guy could get that far apart. And finally they realized his egg was hard-boiled, theirs weren't. And as you mentioned, Fred admired Abraham Lincoln and Ulysses S. Grant, and he joined a Civil War discussion in a reenactor group that was in Pomfret. And his grandson Kyle was living in South Carolina at the time. And so Kyle had a photo of Fred in his reenactor Civil War Union private costume outfit. Anyway, all Kyle's friends looked at it and said, wow, your grandfather must be really old. He fought in the Civil War. So we've laughed at that over the years. And he wrote 2 children's books, and one I brought, Multicolored Dragon, that was for his daughter's 11th birthday, and another one, Kyle Meets a Civil War Hero. And that was the story of escaped slave Tommy Taylor, who's a local person. So, and I know there are many people in Aspinock now doing more research on Tommy Taylor. So, town historian Bob Miller, as you mentioned, and Fred, they had many talks on how the town had grown and changed over the years and the importance of saving her history. That was really, he believed that preserving Katie Copp Cottage and creating the Gertrude Warner Boxcar Museum, that maybe he could help in some small way. And so if he were here to know he was getting this honor tonight, he would be so thrilled. So thank you for letting me share a little bit about Fred's history. Thank you.
Now to our present Putnam history maker, Thomas A. Warner. Some of you may not know that Tom's favorite Christmas song is Dominic the Donkey. Some of you may not know that he has attained the highest Rotary International distinction, the Paul Harris Award. Many have asked, what the heck do the initials PAF above the Putnam tree trunk on Kennedy Drive stand for? Well, that's due to Tom and his leadership of the Putnam Area Foundation, PAF, which supports many northeastern Connecticut organizations, including the Gertrude Chandler Warner Museum and Katie Copp Cottage. Many probably don't know about Tom's involvement in the Putnam Area Industrial Corporation. There's a stone monument in the Robert J. Miller Park. This marker reads in part, to commemorate the Putnam Area Industrial Corporation 1955 to 2001. The Putnam Industrial Corporation was formed in 1955 in the wake of a devastating flood which destroyed much of the Putnam business area. The corporation, in successful effort to raise private and local capital to encourage, aid, assist, and promote the commercial welfare of Putnam and the surrounding area. This challenge was accomplished with the volunteer assistance of a number of local people who believed in the rebirth and revitalization of Putnam. Tom Borner at some point took a leadership role in this organization as the stone monument documents. President of the Putnam Area Industrial Foundation, Thomas A. Borner. Tom, I welcome you to the podium to accept your award and say a few words. The plaque in part reads, "These are just the tip of Tom's caring sense of community and family. His love for his community is rivaled only by the love for his family as a devoted father and grandfather to Kaylin, Kyle, Adam, Griffin, and Avery. Major cheers to the humble Tom Borner. He has touched many lives."
John. Well, good evening. Whether or not it's deserved, I'm humbled and touched by this recognition. Those who know me well appreciate that I don't relish being the center of attention. I've done my best over the years to collaborate with community members supporting the town of Putnam for one simple reason, and that is that I love the town of Putnam. 45 years ago this fall, I joined the law practice of Arthur S. Kaminsky, which started after World War II in downtown office, and it was the best thing I ever did. And that was the beginning, and that was the launch of my career. 45 years ago, hard to believe. I knew from the start that I found the right place to begin my life adventure, and I have Putnam to thank for allowing me to develop successful businesses so that I could give back and support a stronger community for my family and for others. With the unyielding support of my wife, Kathy, and my children, Kyle and Kaylin, I've been able to do just that. So rather than recognizing me, I thank all of you for your contributions in making this such an exceptional place to live and work, because it does take a village. I'm the lucky one in having been able to build many lasting relationships, both professional and personal, and represented by many of you who have joined us tonight, much to my surprise. There has always been a greatness about Putnam, and I look forward to seeing what's next for our community. Thank you for this honor and for coming out this evening. And Bill Pearsall mentioned that every time he talks about the Aspinock Historical Society that somehow a check kind of shows up. So tonight, the Putnam Area Foundation is committing $10,000 to the Aspinock Historical Association. That's in addition to what we've already given. It's for either the boxcar or the Katie Cobb, but that's in honor of Fred.
Wow.
So I'm pleased to be able to make that announcement tonight. You know, this is such a great place. I can't imagine a better place to raise a family in the whole country, in the whole USA. It's really the best, and to have friends coming out to honor me tonight is certainly something that's remarkable, and I thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom, for that generous donation. We appreciate it very much. The word collaboration has been mentioned several times this evening, but our Putnam collaboration started with a vision. Mayor Barney's vision of having the town departments together in a modern facility that supports what I call under one roof concept, enabling people to talk to one another to develop ideas for the good of all Putnam citizens. I call upon the architect of this vision to the podium, our mayor, Barney Sinay.
Thank you, John. You know, when I decided to run for mayor, one of my visions was that complex that we see in front of us today. And I felt it wasn't complete when I came in because they didn't have a place for our seniors, a community center. And they didn't have a place for our historical society. The only thing I did in school was get an A in history. The rest of my marks were between D, E, and F. So you can see what. But you know, people forget that history is the most important part of our country. History brings us back to how we started and where we are today. But without filling in them space in between that, we don't have a history. And that's why it was so important that I felt that this Aspinock Historical Society should have a home where they can live, where they can show their wares and show the history of Putnam. And I gotta say, we accomplished that. Not me, but the people out here. The citizens of Putnam took it upon themselves to realize that we had to protect our history of Putnam. And they did that. But the Historical Society, if you go up there today and you look around and you see what the membership has done, you realize the importance of the society. It's not just about us, it's about the future. It's about the people that are behind us that made Putnam what it is today. And without this Historical Society, to get that history preserved so future generations can see what other generations had produced and how they lived. We don't have a history. So this is what I can't thank the Historical Society. I'm over there every day, well, not every day, but as much time as I can to get over there. Because basically, I love history. I know it's hard to believe. I like my bourbon too, but but the history is so important, and I can't say enough about the membership, what they've done for our community in restoring the history of Putnam. And there's two gentlemen, Fred Heddenberg, you couldn't ask for a nicer gentleman, for his vision, Cape Cod Cardi and Warner Museum. Can't thank Tom Bonner enough. We hear about Rockefeller, Carnegie Hall, and everything else. There's not a bigger philanthropist than our own Tom Bonner. Tom came from a beginning, and to where he is today, like he said, Putnam is my town. But not only Putnam, Northeast Connecticut. Tom has given so much to our community to put it to where it is today. Without the different people volunteering and giving money to remain and retain our history, it wouldn't have been possible without people like Tom and other businesses. So again, thank you. We couldn't ask for two better gentlemen to be awarded tonight, the first thing. And I got to thank our friend over here that brought it all together. So I can't thank you enough for being here tonight and honoring these individuals. And thank you again to both Tom Bonner and Fred Heddenberg's families. Thank you.
Thank you, Barney. So as we get to the end of our program, I want to remind everybody, please take as many gifts as you want for your friends and family.
Remind him to take a membership form too.
And also, if the spirit moves you, there are donation cards for our 2024 annual appeal. And remember that donations, and if you want to be a member, also can be paid online. Just go to our webpage. This is a long one. It's on the cards, so you don't have to remember it. But it's Putnam, Aspinock, HISTSOC.com, or mail to our museum at 200 School Street in Putnam, or best of all, stop by our museum Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, 10 to 2. Check it out. See what we have. Check out the stamp collection that has just been donated to us. That is just superb. So before I pass it along to what I call the musical reeds for their rendition of, what do you give it? I have it somewhere. Anyhow, I came across, this is in the book called Perspectives of Putnam. Gertrude Chandler Warner was hospitalized in 1971 at Dick Kimball. And she wrote what she calls her evening prayer. The moonlight floods my evening prayer. I know that thou dost watch and care. O thou who guards my slumber deep, be near to those who cannot sleep. I work and tire when day is done. I take, O Christ, my wages won. Be near to me, but nearer keep to those who cannot go to sleep. So, you, Bill, Julie, come on up.